so zhuzhed. A couple of things you need to know about me before we start. First, just to give you a very quick idea of the kind of person you're dealing with here, I recently put both of my hands in the bin in a public bathroom because I thought it was a Dyson Airblade. That's where I am, emotionally. And a second, you might look at me and think that I look like a kind of anime librarian or troublingly erotic CBeebies presenter. And it's more complicated than that, but you're close enough. Okay, you're close enough. Actually, what I do is this. I do stand-up comedy. And I am well aware, okay, I'm painfully aware that that's not a real thing that people do. That doesn't count as something that people do. To the extent that whenever I tell someone that I'm a comedian, I feel like I'm lying. I feel like I must be lying. Like, the way I see it, they've asked me what I do, and they've already made some kind of judgments based on the way I look. Like, obviously, librarian, yeah, substitute teacher. Maybe she looks like she's got quite a good typing speed, and or a very small niche OnlyFans. And then I have the temerity to tell them I'm a comedian with the same kind of apparently unearned confidence of someone saying that they're a lion tamer or a famous astronaut or like the other cause sister who they don't talk about because somehow she was born English. It sounds so fake, but it's true, it's what I do. Worse, sometimes I will tell a man that I'm a stand-up comedian. Yeah, don't do that. I'll tell a man that I'm a stand-up comedian and he will essentially say, a comedian? But you're a woman! Okay, 1, sexist, 2, gender essentialist, 3, he says it like I might not have noticed. Like I'm just going to go, whoa, bloody hell, you're right actually. Thought I just had my backpack on back to front. I'll cease doing comedy immediately. I'll go and do something feminine. I'll make you a sandwich in my underwear. I mean, I'll go in my underwear to make you a sandwich. I don't mean I'll make you a sandwich in my health and safety nightmare, wouldn't it? But yeah, that's what I do. I am a stand-up comedian. I'm also, by day, a children's entertainer. So professionally, I run the whole gamut of human experience. On the one hand, I'm used to having audience members who are like screaming, crying, sometimes puking, sometimes wetting themselves, having a little breastfeed. And on the other hand, as I said, I'm a children's entertainer. That's a cheap joke, isn't it? It is a cheap joke, but it felt unavoidable. There are several differences between being a stand-up comedian and being a children's entertainer. The most marked of these, though, for me, is the heckling. When an adult heckles you, okay, it's boring, it's annoying, it can be hurtful. When a child heckles you, they will tear you apart. They are brutal. When I'm doing my children's entertaining, my character is a wizard, so I'll do some kind of interactive storytelling and then a couple of simple magic tricks. And you have not experienced imposter syndrome until you've been faced with a room full of 7-year-olds screaming in your face, "You're nothing but a fake! You're not real!" And it's not even you're not a real wizard, it's just you're not real. Right. An adult heckler will say, "Get off your shit." A child heckler will basically say, "Wink back out of existence where you belong, you deluded figment of your own imagination, which in itself doesn't exist." And I'm standing there with like a scoop of bicarbonate of soda in one hand and a potion bottle full of vinegar in the other, having a full-on existential crisis and thinking, I wish that this was a comedy club and these were adults so I could tell the ringleader to fuck off. I have to sing him happy birthday. Now you might ask me, Chrissy, why do you put yourself through this? Why, if the heckling gets this bad, do you continue to be a children's entertainer? And the reason for this is threefold, because that's how comedy works. First, look at me. Do I look like the kind of person who has historically made good life choices? No, that's not me. I'm like any good stand-up comedian, I am riddled with ADHD. Second, it's a job that I can do, and I need a job in order to fund my hobby, which is not starving to death. So I do that. And third, actually, I love it. I love being a children's entertainer. I love children. They're so good at heckling because they're completely unfiltered, and I love and identify with unfiltered, weird people. To give an example of this kind of behaviour, this is the top example in my experience. One time at one of these birthday parties, a little girl launched herself at me, like full on, head down, elbows out, proper like rugby tackle style. But, you know, I was thinking, she's 4 years old and skinny, I could probably take this bitch in a fight. So I stood my ground, okay? And she actually stopped short of me. She didn't barrel into me like I thought she would. She stopped short of me, held out her little closed fist, slowly opened it to reveal a half-eaten cocktail sausage, whispered, "Sausage," and ran away. She won't remember that, but that's the best interaction I've ever had with anybody. I actually have a child of my own. It's going pretty well. I fed her today, so. No, I love being a parent. I really love having a kid. I think it is so moving being able to watch this screaming potato gradually blossom into a weirdly dependent flatmate. The thing I like most, though, about being a parent is being able to share my cultural references with her. I love being able to share my cultural references, being able to introduce her to all these things that have meant so much to me as I grew up. So imagine my delight when we were invited once when she was very young to what I would call a regulation wedding disco. Yeah, you know the kind. You know what you're going to get. It's a safe place. It's a happy place. The DJ set hasn't changed since 1993. You're going to get Oops Upside Your Head. You're going to get Superman, Cha-Cha Slide, Grease Megamix. Hey, yes, thank you. Finally whistle for Grease Megamix, of course. And I didn't see much of Anwen, my daughter, that day, because at the age of 5 she already had more of a social life than I ever will have. And she detached herself that day to my friend Julia. She followed Julia around all night. And by about 11:30 midnight, Julia was understandably starting to flag. Okay, she was edging towards the boundaries of the dance floor as "You Can't Touch This" blared on the stereo, trying to talk to another adult. And I was privileged to witness this tiny, tiny child with the most sombre, earnest expression on her face go after her and say, "Julia, Julia, you have to stop! It's hammer time!" The thing about being a parent, though, the thing that I think any parents in the audience will probably relate to, is that you spend so much of your time, so much of your life, your energy, your soul being a parent, that when it's time to stop parenting, it's really hard to turn it off. Yeah, you do find yourself pointing out moo cows to strangers on the bus. Worst one of these that ever happened to me was my partner at the time had a friend round. So this was 2 guys in their late 30s, kicking back, playing cards in my living room. And let me tell you, it really does change the whole vibe of an evening. When you go up to your long-term romantic partner and his friend, who you don't know very well, lean over them and say, "Will Mummy get you a drink?" I had to have a threesome that night just to save face. You've been absolutely brilliant. I unfortunately can disregard them. Thank you.
I'm quite enjoyed that!
Oh, nice one.
Chrissy, thanks a lot.